Coming up on the news today then, it is absolute carnage at Manchester United. There is a revolution taking place. INEOS sacking more people, bringing more people in. People don't know what's going on. There's new directors of football. There's new nutritionists. There's new everything. Technical directors. Darren Fletcher getting moved around. Let's get into it. Let's unpack it. Let's see what's going on. Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock, and we are not outside Old Trafford for the news this morning. I am instead in the sweltering Chiang Mai, Thailand. It is 40 degrees, and I said it last week and I'll say it again. It's not just me feeling the heat. It is ramping up at Manchester United. We saw the results in the last week, dropping 7 points from winning positions. Not very good. However, weirdly, probably the most encouraging performance was the one against Liverpool. Certainly the best result. Ten Hag now undefeated at home against Liverpool in his tenure, and I believe he's got a very good winning record against him overall as well. But there's a lot of news coming today. We've seen the updates on John Murtough yesterday. He will be leaving Manchester United, but following that is a very, very good article out of the Daily Mail. Chris Wheeler obviously has been on the channel a couple of times before, and we've got a bit of an in-depth look at what is coming next for Manchester United. So we know that John Murtough is out. There is a general growing sense around Old Trafford that things are changing very, very rapidly. There's talk of new people coming in as well. Let's break all of that down. But before all that, hit subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and get your thoughts in on the revolution that is taking place at Manchester United. Now this, like I said, is from Chris Wheeler in the Daily Mail, and he is talking about John Murtough's departure has senior figures fearing the INEOS axe, but one former Liverpool staff member could be on his way in. So we're going to get into that. John Murtough's departure as Manchester United football director will do little to quell the sense of uncertainty around the club as INEOS continue to ring the changes. Staff are waiting to see how plans to install Dan Ashworth as the director of football and Jason Wilcox as technical director will have on the rest of the setup at Carrington, with plenty of questions being asked around the training ground. We'll get into this potential new incoming from Liverpool or former Liverpool employee in just a minute. But first of all, on the John Murtough stuff, he's a figure that I think sort of carried with him a little bit of the sort of the tarnished reputation that Ed Woodward left Manchester United with, and I think somewhat unfairly. I think some of it he didn't go a long way to sort of getting rid of those reputations and those rumours that he maybe wasn't quite cut out for the job. I think he'd done a decent job at the academy level and got stepped up too quickly. He was never quite right to do the job that he was given at Manchester United, but I don't think he's necessarily this huge villain potentially that we all kind of wanted him to be. I think he's just someone that didn't really have the ability to step up in the way we would have liked. Now, in his replacement, we're kind of seeing a two-pronged structure, aren't we? Dan Ashworth coming in as the overall director of football, and then under him, Jason Wilcox as this technical director, kind of splitting the roles that are currently occupied by the CEO, Richard Arnold, and by the technical director, John Murtough. And then underneath that, the footballing director, in Darren Fletcher as well, is going to be restructured and moved around, potentially even leave the club, although there's been less rumours of that. Get your thoughts in on this, because I know Adam and Joe spoke about it on Uncensored yesterday. But this is big change at Manchester United. This is big news, and the fact that John Murtough's leaving after initially being told that he was going to be here for the transition period and that he may not leave, now we know he is. Now we know he's not just being restructured, moved around, pushed upstairs, pushed downstairs. He's actually going to be leaving the club after 11 years. And following that, I think there's an interesting point in here about this growing sense of uncertainty. There were reports earlier in the week about, company cars and company cards being taken away from certain executives and certain people at Manchester United because of the reckless spending that we've seen over the last few years by INEOS. There's been long-term rumours of a potential kind of mass firing at Manchester United, people being made redundant, which on a personal level, I'm sure most of those people haven't done anything wrong. I'm sure they're good at their jobs. I'm sure a lot of those people we can feel very sorry for. But on a sort of business, new ownership level, these are the sorts of things you expect. And Manchester United has become this bloated, sort of overworked, underperforming outfit over the last decade. And I quite like to think of Manchester United as someone who is pushing things and being as reckless and as ruthless as the top teams have to be successful. Now, the next part of this story, which I think is very interesting as well, is that there could be even more change as part of this revolution, this renaissance that we're seeing at Manchester United. And that is, according, again, to this article, Professor James Morton, who is a nutrition expert, the former Liverpool performance nutritionist, previously worked with INEOS sporting director Sir Dave Brailsford at Team Sky, where he led the nutrition strategy as the team won the Tour de France 4 years in a row, then renowned for their marginal gains approach, and he's been busy fact-finding at Carrington for months looking at how United could improve in every department, and manager Erik ten Hag has also been known to tap into the world of cycling for advice and information on having spoken to members of team Jumbo-Visma in the past. Now this guy, I don't know a lot about him, Professor James Morton, but I do think nutrition and all of these sort of things that we kind of see is like the smaller part of football. These are the things that add up. This is the whole point of this this sort of gains philosophy, is that not everything is a big deal, but together 10 small things do make a big deal. And I think if we're getting the best person from Liverpool and the best person from, I know he's at Southampton at the minute, James Wilcox, but he's been at Manchester City. We get Barada from City. We get Ashworth, who's been at England, who's been at Brighton, at West Brom, at Newcastle. And all of those outfits and teams have improved while he's been there. We're slowly making a team and a culture where, I don't want Man United professional people at Manchester United and human beings at Manchester United to feel like they're looking over their shoulder all the time. I don't want there to be a culture of fear at Manchester United, some sort of like Wolf of Wall Street, people being embarrassed, people being sacked on the spot for spelling someone's name wrong. I don't want that. But what I do want is the feeling that you have to be good at your job. At the minute, it feels as though it's too much of a sort of a boys' club, for lack of a better term, where you come in, you kind of get along, and if we don't win, then that's okay, and if we do win, then great. But really, winning has to be the only motivator. The only thing that matters for Manchester United is winning. And I think we need to instill this feeling that if you aren't winning and you prove time and time again that you're incapable of helping your team or your group or your sector, then you're out. Because otherwise, what is Manchester United? It's not a retirement home. It's not some sort of, state-sponsored school. It's not like you work at a library where the government puts the money in. This is a private company that is competing against other private companies to be the best in the world in a sport that is the most difficult, the most played, the biggest sport in the world. You have to be incredible to be able to do that job at Manchester United, and we haven't seen that for a very, very long time. And the idea that finally the people at Manchester United who've had their feet up on the desk, kind of doing nothing, laughing when they're asked what their actual job role is, the fact that they're finally being told and they're finally thinking, I kind of need to book my ideas up or I'm going to be out, that to me is a very, very good thing. Right, that is going to be all from me. This has been the news. Get your thoughts in on those stories below. John Murtough is out, Ashworth, Wilcox, and potentially this new nutrition expert coming in as well. Are we slowly starting to see, and I hate to say it, I don't want Man United employees to feel as though they're looking over the shoulder all the time, but are we starting to see those standards being lifted at Manchester United where people can't get away with putting in the bare minimum, with not improving results, with not getting better on the pitch, not getting better off the pitch? Is this a good thing for Manchester United? Get your thoughts in below. Are you enjoying the INEOS revolution? And also, is there the elephant in the room of Erik ten Hag's future? Sooner or later, it is going to have to be addressed for next season, but it hasn't happened just yet. This is going to be all from me from a sweltering Chiang Mai, Thailand. Hit subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This has been the news for Stretford Paddock. We'll see you in a bit.